Well, Kyle?
This video is not about us, Garrett.
Oh.
Hey. Hi.
Hey. Hello.
You doing okay?
Are you all right?
Put out a video about enjoying the live letter and continued to put our head into Savage, and we finished Savage. Now we look up and we see some comments.
Yeah, we actually have some time to read comments, and I'm frankly, I was a bit confused by the response to that video.
We get some weird comments.
Like this one.
Or this one. What does that mean?
What is this one about?
But sometimes we get comments that are legitimate. And sometimes we get comments that are super burnt out.
And sometimes we get comments that make me spit water all over my coffee table because I was drinking while reading it.
So let's take a look at what you had to say about the recent live letter and Final Fantasy XIV in general.
I just want to make sure you're all okay.
You doing okay?
Hey, yo, supporterbromance.com.
Woo.
It's our Patreon. Are you aware of our Patreon, Kyle?
I'm aware. I update it weekly.
I'm aware. I don't update weekly. That's usually Kyle's job.
That's my job.
You can help pay Kyle for his job and pay me for the other jobs that I do that aren't necessarily posting the weekly Patreon posts over at supportourbromance.com. It will forward you to our Patreon and give you perks like access to our members-only channels in the Discord, as well as bonus releases. There's also additional things like you want to get thanked in the credits at the end of every single video that we make, every single podcast episode that we make. Well, it's up there. It's called the Legendary tier. You can check it out if you really, really like us and you want to help pay our bills.
Patron of the arts. Patreon.
Are we artists?
Yeah, of course we are.
Supportourbromance.com.
Supportourbromance.com. Let's get started then.
The thing about Dawntrail being a quality of life expansion is that is what they spent a lot of time on in Endwalker 2. So veteran player apathy only continued to grow. I'm glad you guys have found a reason to be excited again. I hope everyone is able to get reinvested again soon too.
So this was a response to us saying that we're enjoying the quality of life, the graphics, the updates. Trusts don't matter to us, but I can see the value for somebody who might want to play this as a solo player game. But what we don't have perspective on is how much of that was done in Endwalker. And what is funny is after finishing Savage, we were very excited to look into something like Pandemonium. And now we're hearing that Pandemonium maybe wasn't the best designed raid, despite being a very cool story set piece.
Well, particularly in Savage anyway. A lot of comments just very recently, like yesterday at the time of recording this. Not that it really matters to many people unless you're deeply ingrained in our Discord. But yeah, it's interesting. I remember enough about the general vibes in Endwalker's Endgame. It feels like people turned on it at the speed that I expect in other games. That's how I'm going to phrase that. That's how I'm going to phrase that, Kyle. People turned on it at the speed of Warcraft. I'm starting to think it's just kind of the cycle for MMOs. You hype it up with you hype before the expansion, optimism when it's new, turning on it when you run out of things to do or you don't like the things that there are to do. And it's impossible to please everybody, so off to the content races we go.
It's tough to be an invested player when you see them fostering a new audience.
That's an interesting thought. I have a younger sibling. I understand that. Are we all just older siblings angry about the new child taking all of the attention? I mean, literally, this is how the world works, man. Parents pay more attention to the younger kid. Cell phone companies give incentives to the new people, not the people that are already there. Yeah. And you have to call your cable company and make threats to get them to lower your bill.
To get the price you got when you signed up, because that was a sign up. It's tough. It's tough when you see those things happening around you and you want your quality of life things, but also as a returning player, those things are extremely exciting. Like we're seeing people go back to WoW and go, whoa, look at all these changes. I like all these changes, but when you're there for the moment to moment of it, it's kind of tiring.
I have a feeling every comment could be its own entire video, unless we get into something that's just like completely batshit. But I truly believe that it's healthier and a better gaming experience to game hop, to spend some time outside of your normal main game, whatever it is. And particularly with MMOs, I don't think any of them have been good enough to warrant your sub nonstop for all time. Not a single one. I truly believe that. None of them have been good enough. None of them keep you engaged enough. I think the only thing that would really keep you there is if you go out of your way to get more ingrained in community-built efforts, which there's a lot of those in Final Fantasy XIV. And you need a healthy enough game for those to even exist in the first place. But That's the only way I can see anyone actually just keeping that sub rolling unbroken.
Next up, I think it is a good thing that the MSQ was terrible. People are finally snapping out of their honeymoon phase and paying attention to the underlying problems the game had for years. That being said, next expansion is likely to be the big turning point of 14. Either things don't improve drastically and the game will die over a few years, or they do, and the game secures another decade of lifetime. Welcome to the expansion cycle, my friend. You know how many times I've heard this one?
I just can't get past saying something subjective is terrible.
It was terrible for them.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, I throw up a roadblock when I hear wording like that. I'm like, you don't speak for me. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was fine. I thought it was acceptable. I thought it was better than A Realm Reborn.
I've been on this ride too many times. You know how many games we've covered over the years? We're kind of newish to YouTube videos. 3 years.
We're as new to YouTube videos as we are to 14.
But we covered a lot of games before that have come and gone. And the next expansion better be good cycle is certainly one of them.
I've heard it a million times. You can't scare me. Don't quote the old magics to me, commenter. I was there when they were written about another game, and I was there when they were written about a game before that. And I'll be here when they write it about a game in the future. I'll be there when they write it about this game again. Because you know what? The next expansion may not hit, and there'll be another expansion after that, because there's enough players, and it makes more money than most of the stuff that Square's putting out, or dropping, like North American studios. But hey, at least it's not NFTs.
It's a common thread, and for those who didn't enjoy Dawntrail enough, they didn't see a reason to stick around and continue that lasting feeling. Make it last a little longer. Cuddle in bed with Tally. I know what that feels like.
Tantric Mass Effect? You want to make it last longer?
Yeah, by cuddling.
Oh, okay. He's a cuddler.
Next one.
All right, next. Every time they change something, it's because someone isn't doing it. Jobs are ruined because they want people who don't play them to do so. The MMO experience is turned into a terribly botched single-player game because some people don't want to play an MMO. Why do they think that designing things for people who don't want to do them at the expense of the people who already do them is such a brilliant idea? Because they think more people will do it if they make those changes.
And because the resources, animations, and job already exist to make content out of. And if you have a job that not a lot of people are playing, an easy way to expand your content is to make it a job that more people will play. And it sucks. I've been there in multiplayer games, MOBAs especially, where they come through with my really obscure, super powerful character and make them more generalized. And it blows. It does blow. But it's also just business. It's the right thing to do when you're designing a video game. But it sucks.
I don't think it's always the right thing to do. I do agree with the commenter in that regard. Particularly the class changes. Because there's so many options. Play something else. That's not on them, I don't think. I don't think it is on them to make every class easy so that everyone can play every class. Sorry, no. That's bad game design. That's straight up bad game design. I'm with the commenter there. The single player MMO thing, I think it's smarter to make your base game, the thing everyone has to do to get to the end game of your MMO, more approachable. So I think this commenter, I agree with half of what the commenter's saying here. I don't agree with the other half, but I also don't think it's unfair.
I get 1 point each. One point from both of us. A 0 from both of us too.
A 0 from both of us. Well, by our powers combined, we liked your comment.
Fair enough. Passionate Bozjan lover is what we're going to call this poster. They wrote an absolute dissertation on why Bozja is better than Occult Crescent.
I mean, I already agree with that, and I haven't read this comment.
Then you'll find a lot to agree with in here.
Bozja's story was much lengthier, even only considering the first zone and patch of content. That feels right. And it's been a while since I started Bozja. We did it quite some time ago, even though we didn't do it when it was current. But that feels sincere to me.
The objective in Bozja was very clear, and all the little story pieces work directly into that war effort.
It's probably my biggest sadness with Occult Crescent is that I don't like the story, or it hasn't grabbed me. And I would even go as far as to say it doesn't really feel like it has a story yet. It feels like it has lore, but not an actual arc or any sort of action that makes me want to delve deeper. Let's see, it continues. On that note, before the first zone, Bozja had an entire lengthy solo duty that was nearly dungeon length.
Wow, that's easy to forget about.
I did forget. Well, I have not forgotten about it because that extreme was very memorable for us.
That extreme, that content was separate from Bozja, but remember the wow factor of walking into Sid's memories and seeing the city all torn up to the Varys fight that didn't happen?
That entire thing, by the way, definitely goes in a future video, which is like the most amazing, missable content in Final Fantasy XIV. It is such a surprise, and we've been talking about surprises, and the live letter video that we made that garnered all these comments, we talked about the importance of surprise and how things like fixing hats and letting us duo in Crystal Conflict, not a PvP guy, might become one soon, are very lovely surprises. However, you know what's an even bigger surprise? A massive chunk of extremely well-produced content, which is exactly what everything leading into the Varys trial was. Go do the Varys trial, everybody, and if you're learning about it for the first time, go do the Varys trial.
Likeable characters.
I promise you, if you think you're spoiled, you're not going. There's no world where you guess how this trial even happens.
It's so much fun. The characters are likable. It's engaging. I felt like I was pursuing a plot that I knew the end of already because war effort, but it had some twists and turns.
Yeah. Within Bozja itself, the zone was gated. You could not go everywhere right away. This created a strong natural progression as you leveled up and unlocked more of the area via doing more of the story. There was also a cooldown on using Return within the zone. By comparison, Occult Crescent lets you go everywhere right away, and Return has no cooldown. This means the optimal way to play, which most people are doing, is to do a Fate/CE, and then instantly return the base and then teleport to the crystal nearest to the next Fate or CE. I agree with this. No lies detected. This person's based.
Yeah, honestly, that's why I include this one. This is a massive write-up. It goes on and on and on.
Dude, go read this comment, everybody. Reply to this commenter and tell them how right they were.
I think it's a fascinating idea that the ease of teleportation led to an unfair and unfun race of gameplay, which led to the mounted must have your speed increase race off that has become Occult Crescent.
Yeah, it's like, and I want to be clear, like, I don't think it's that bad. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But to me, Occult Crescent is like this culmination of a lot of things that aren't the worst thing in the world, but it makes just the full product of not particularly compelling content.
There were easy mistakes to make in the science of fun. In pursuit of fun, they made some very simple mistakes.
Pursuit of fun, they forgot to make it feel like a massively multiplayer experience. Thanks for the comment. I'm going to continue reading this. Next we have, I've been subscribed since Realm Reborn dropped. Endwalker 6.0 release was the highest high, and post Endwalker through Dawntrail has resulted in the lowest low for me. It feels like all of the mid-core or skill expression content, rather than skill requirement, has been abandoned by the dev team. Zero faith in them, especially after their statement that they made Fork Tower because they felt Delibrum Regine Savage was too easy for players to engage with. What? It feels like I'm back to dealing with the WoW devs again, and that's not a good thing. I have no experience with DR Savage.
I think what's really interesting about this comment is the combination of mid-core and skill expression, and then calling something like Savage skill requirement, which is true. You play Savage's game or else.
You win Savage prizes.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to say on this because I haven't gone into Fork Tower yet. Everything that I've experienced through osmosis, my take is I don't see any reason for Fork Tower to be as difficult as it is. To me, field operations should be for the widest top of the funnel players. And Occult Crescent, the open world experience is. Nothing's that particularly hard. The bosses are tough. The CEs, they can murder you and they can murder you dead. But there's also more than enough people to resurrect you, get you back in the fight. You can fail a lot, but you're not going to actually miss out on getting the boss kill as long as you have enough people. So for then their raid to be like extreme sweaty, try hard mode, that is a massive miss, in my opinion.
Well, and an unlockable dungeon should feel more like Alterac Valley. Bit of a history lesson. It's old, very old WoW. As classic as it gets nearly. But that was basically a Zerg Fest. That's an alliance raid. Everyone would win the battle and then tumble giggling through the gates of a raid and get completely owned by random shit or succeed. It was a bit of a crapshoot, but the skill requirement was very low. And that was fun. That was a fun reward for being good at the game already and winning the PvP.
A lot of people look back on it extremely fun. And I guess I just found one more.
Next, it hurts so badly, man. I want my forever game that I loved unconditionally back. I know that sounds really cringe, but it's crazy to me that I was so blindly obsessed with something like a year ago. I still care about the game, but I don't think it can ever hit the same again, and it just hurts.
Man, I don't think that's cringe at all. I've been there.
I've been there. It sucks. You got a brand new game, maybe even your favorite old game. Maybe it's D&D, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's a joke that you can't stop laughing at. And all of a sudden, that laughter's gone. It wore out its welcome. It's just kind of boring.
There was a period where I thought like 3 Blizzard games were gonna be my forever game. It was pretty much like between Vanilla WoW and it ended with the release of Overwatch, which is where I feel like things started going off the rails for Blizzard and they started chasing trends instead of making good games. I don't know. Overwatch is a good game. It is profoundly not for me and not something that could ever even hope to achieve forever game status. But World of Warcraft, I definitely thought I would be playing that game forever. And in a way, maybe I still will be. I pop back into WoW every once in a while, but I'm not experiencing it the way I thought I would be experiencing it all those years ago. And I also felt that way about Heroes of the Storm, and I also felt that way about Hearthstone. And here I am, still playing Heroes of the Storm 2 or 3 times a week, but I haven't logged into Hearthstone in like 2 years.
I'd say my most recent one was D&D 5th edition.
Ooh.
I wanted D&D Next, D&D 1 to be something completely different, to entertain me, to meet my needs, to keep playing their game by changing dramatically. And it didn't. It was more of the same. And I had to acknowledge I was the problem here. And it seems like you're kind of going through that yourself. You're realizing that you need to grow outside the game, and that's healthy.
That's kind of the uniquely difficult part, I feel, about games as your predominant hobby. Because when you go and you look at other, maybe more tactile hobbies, things like golf or working on cars, anything of that nature, like you're not expecting constant change. You're not expecting access to a constant feed of new experiences. If you're into golf, you're primarily limited to the courses in driving distance.
I am the god of golf!
If you're into cars, most people can only feasibly afford to work on 1 or 2 cars in their lifetime as some sort of project. And it's already a car that exists. And finding the parts and the time to put them in and make repairs is the fun. But with games, it's just not realistic to not eventually run out of things to do.
Particularly because there's no physical exhaustion tied to it. You don't end a gaming session outside of maybe Savage.
I completely disagree. I completely disagree.
But in like a physical sport, you will walk away sore, perhaps injured, and say, wow, what a day, I'm done for now.
I'm physically exhausted by how much I disagree with this take.
You can play video games forever until your brain burns out. But physically, I don't know. My clicking finger hurts sometimes real bad after a Savage night, so maybe I'm wrong.
Holy shit. Also, just, for existential crises for a moment, we are all in for a world of hurt when carpal tunnel comes for our asses. Do finger exercises. Stretch them hands, everybody. Stretch them hands. I don't know if that's actually how you fight carpal tunnel. Not a doctor.
No, yeah, don't follow our advice.
Next! Speaking purely personally, the expansion cycle is not working anymore. The last thing I want to hear when the next expansion is announced is, we're going to this area. We're raising levels by 10. Here are some pictures and concepts of the new areas. There are new dungeons. Like that's a new feature at this number in the middle of talking. Help! There are new dungeons. Like that's a new feature at this point. There are new trials. Again, that's not a feature at this point. New raid and alliance raid teas. New job with a fun outfit by Yoshi P. Tune in FanFest. I want to see something new, a brave attempt to try something different, and I understand they are at the mercy of Square Enix shareholders. But by the data alone, that shows players aren't staying like they used to. Then you need to make decisions that innovate and try new things rather than stick to the old formula. First off, I just want to compliment this commenter for waiting as long as they did to insert parentheticals that spell out their frustration, because I could already feel it. Yeah, I've said exactly this about past games that I've played, and I'm starting to get that feeling for Final Fantasy XIV as well. And I haven't even been here this long, but yeah, it does seem repetitive. I really like dungeons, but boy howdy, can I see how the sausage is made, and those sausages are made the same every single time.
I'm kind of slow to pick up on these things. Like, we entered Living Memory and everyone's like, here it is. Here's the surprise last zone. I forgot that was a trend. I didn't even notice it being a trend. But now that's been pointed out, it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of weird to have a scheduled surprise.
Can we do a mini Pint react right now? Pint's video about the issues that Final Fantasy XIV is facing. It is, I think, one of the best executed, we need to have a talk about this game type videos. Because so many of them are clickbait, so many of them are rage bait, so many of them are just like shamelessly reaching for comments that say based. And Pint's video isn't that at all. It's like the most quaint and charming PowerPoint presentation on earth, and it brings up a lot of good points. The point where I just went, oh God, I will never be able to unsee this now, is when Pint brings up here is an ancient individual that you're questing alongside, and they are now going to narrate you through their memories. And I'm like, no, God damn it. Why, Pint?
And
you ruined
peak.
it for me.
So peak.
It's like my favorite
it was so
thing.
Peak.
And Pint's right.
But I didn't notice, until someone pointed it out to me. I wasn't hanging out with Princess and thinking, you're not Emmett. I was just along for the ride.
Yeah, it happened with Emmett. It happened with Medion. It happened with Sphene. I really like Sphene. I didn't care about Sphene that much until 7.2, if I'm being completely honest. Real Sphene is infinitely more compelling
engaging
than AI Sphene.
This comment has a great philosophy. This is that faster horse problem. Like, then what? What should they give us? What would an MMO need? And you're not going to hear the same thing from anybody.
No. The average player, even the above average player, someone who's tapped in enough and also social enough to like leave a comment or engage in Discord or whatever. We all mostly operate with what we know, either from the game we're currently playing or from other experiences that we've had. You either ask for things because of the way things used to be, or you ask for things because of the way things are in another game. We very rarely ask for things that don't exist, or if we do, we very rarely ask for things that do exist that are realistic and can actually be executed upon. It's tough. It's tough being in the game.
It's tough being a game designer too.
I would hope that if a dev read this, that they would take it semi-complimentary, because I think like this is the type of comment that I look at and I say, only someone who gives a shit could be this frustrated. Like, only someone who enjoys your game feel let down in this way by these means. And like, you don't hope to be surprised. You don't hope for them to flip the script and make something incredible because you don't like the game. So I don't know. This comment reads like someone who cares.
Next. They're in that cute phase where they see that Square Enix listens before they realize that it takes 10 years for them to respond to what they acknowledge as a problem.
And then there's a reply.
This was a reply I captured because it is kind of interesting, because it talks about our honeymoon phase ending.
Oh, look at people talking about us like we're not in the room.
Yeah.
I love these. So this reply reads, yeah, for all they are aware of the downfall here, this is still a honeymoon phase for them. I'm looking forward to the reactions to 8.0, particularly because I like viewing their opinions, but base 8.0 release is the first real test to see if 14 has a future. And if they are turned off by that, then, ooh, you should write our tweets. I'm hooked on this anticipation. First comment being a bit dismissive. Aside,
it's okay. Like, okay, so what are we? What the hell are we? Are we industry?
I mean, I hate the term, but most people would probably call us influencers.
But we're long-term industry influencers. We've done shows for a long time. We've seen, and really what it comes down to is we've met too many community managers. And you're right. It does take an extremely long time to change things in a video game. And you know who let them know about that? Probably a community manager that went through the forums or Reddit and found those problems and then brought them to the devs and probably personally fought to continue to keep that in their heads while they're also working on the next expansion, working on their mainline thing. So it's true. It's not a surprise that the hats didn't work and then it took 6 years to make the hats work. But that's kind of how those channels go in a corporation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a honeymoon phase. I don't think I've been in the honeymoon phase since the end of 6.0. I liked the patch content well enough, but I felt it was a bit phoned in and paid too much homage to the Final Fantasies that it was drawn from in a way that made me feel like we were watering down the character of Zero just so that people could Leo point that played an older Final Fantasy.
Endwalker was a good expansion. It was a good story.
Endwalker was a good single-player experience.
It was.
Endwalker as an overall MMO expansion, if I had been stuck with Endwalker's Endgame for the entire length of Endwalker's Endgame, I think I would rank it pretty low in the overall pantheon of Final Fantasy XIV expansions. Because I like raiding. And it seems like its raids were not particularly well received, and I love Bozja, and it just straight up didn't have one. And you know what I don't like? Island sanctuaries. And you know what's like okay as of yesterday? Variant dungeons. It's just okay. Not setting my world on fire. I'm interested to do more, but I would have been very bummed that there was no field operation, and variant dungeons probably would have just royally pissed me off if I was an endgame player in Endwalker.
And we found them as a relaxing thing to do post-Savage, which if Endwalker Savage believed as weird as the design it was, maybe that exchange wouldn't happen as easily.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see honeymoon phase here as an accusation of not being in love, but you know, when you get back from honeymoon, you got to start learning how to live together and pay your bills and figure out who does dishes what night. And it's just a natural evolution of your love. We don't run around giggling from dungeon to dungeon like we used to. I would say End of A Realm Reborn was the end of my honeymoon phase because hard dungeons ended. And I just love dungeons. I just love dungeons. And the dungeons, there were less of them. And then I became aware of the content phase, and that I'm trying not to say that Square Enix has to go to the bathroom, but you know, that's what it feels like.
I also find just honeymoon phase a profoundly boomer term. It's assuming that marriage is hell, which is a profoundly boomer stance.
Yeah, well, we still get in there. Maybe it's a little more scheduled, but you know.
I also think it's unhealthy to think of a game as a marriage. It's a game.
And you're paying it too.
Keep your distance. Manage your expectations.
Next.
Playing Expedition 33 has really opened my eyes to how much I was playing Final Fantasy XIV just because I was used to it. After Endwalker, it's been so downhill for me. They don't seem to know how to make truly fun side content, spreadsheets in Island Sanctuary, and trying to haul ass to beat fates that die within seconds ain't it. The new crafting thing fell super flat for me as well. For the first time in years, I let my sub fall off. I thought these were supposed to be unhinged.
This is just well adjusted. Good on you.
This is just well adjusted. It sounds like you need a break and you're taking a break.
We hear the "you should play other games" Yoshi P quote thrown around as though it's an excuse for Final Fantasy XIV's lack of content. But here's a perfectly good example of somebody who played something else and realized they needed something else right now.
It's okay if it's not a break. It's okay if you never come back to this game.
Nothing's required of you.
No, not at all. But also sometimes those breaks make you like the game you took a break for more because you're not just grinding it out over and over again because you feel like you have to. I want to go get mounts in World of Warcraft right now and then probably spit on because of extremely not well-adjusted add-on makers.
Every rose has its thorns.
Don't fall for Yoshida's lies. He is older, more cunning, more deceptive, and more subversive than he presents himself as. Holds his feet to the fire. His poisoned touch has ruined the game for long enough. Wow, I've heard Mace Windu talk about Palpatine this way.
What a villain.
Yeah.
So, do you know him personally? I don't know him personally.
I don't. Yeah. What did he do to you? Dude's talking like Yoshida his mom.
I see how if you were completely disenfranchised, disinterested, you can see the holding up of paper as cheap. Or you could see them all palling around at the end of the live letter as a waste of your time. But I thought it was freaking adorable. His friends showed up. They all started being friends. They got completely off script. And those are the kind of people I want making video games. People who look like they're having fun. So I don't know the man personally. And I can't say I've really met him. I've taken a photo with him. But he seemed like a personable guy who very much enjoys his game.
Yeah, it's not like I can communicate with the dude.
I don't know.
I definitely would file this comment under unhinged. That being said, I think it's dangerous to idolize anybody in a position of power, of any power. Like, let's just keep with the, let's narrow the scope of this to just game devs. I've done it. You've done it. We've been through this song and dance with Blizzard. I don't trust anybody. Nobody is infallible. I thought he was a bit flippant about the issues with Fork Tower. It's nice that they're making improvements. They're not making enough improvements. I think saying whatever answer he ended up having, whatever translation he prescribed to, I think they're all bunk for why Fork Tower was too hard. Just like, oh, they don't have costs. And people are like, that's not what the translation was. It's like, whatever the translation was, it's bad, and nothing you said addresses the fact that it's bad or makes it better. You probably should lean on the easier version of it first and then make a harder version if you have time, because that to me seems like the intelligent thing to do. Let's have more people experience it, particularly in an expansion where one of the biggest surprises was chaotic. We got extra difficult content. Why are you making something else required difficult level? The whole thing annoys me, and I don't want to read it.
You gave birth to this. Are you happy?
Now I'm unhinged.
Next. Modders already did the Veer and Hroth hats. The ear is a toggle. It took them 6 years to implement a simple toggle.
We don't know how simple it is. Next.
Well, yeah, you don't. You can't just take the code and put it in your code. Your mod sits on top of theirs as a visual change. It's not in the, next. Who are these beautiful gay men? Next.
I can't believe you included that. We're not gay. We just like the gays. Oh, I see we're to the hate mail of the week. Curly Guy had some absolute shit takes. Anyway, hope isn't back on the table. We are at the lowest of the lowest point of player population. That is just untrue. People are unsubbing in mass like huge rates. The devs have shown 0% of anything new or newsworthy. Outside of, we know the service has been declining and they will do absolutely nothing to fix it. Their track record confirms that as a guarantee. The subs have 100% been lower.
Well, yeah. Back when the game was not as popular and was building its player base.
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
We're just mad.
We're just mad. It's okay. It's okay that you're mad.
So mad.
I do have shit takes.
In mass. Huge.
Imagine how boring it'd be if my takes were awesome all the time.
Pianos suck. No one saw that stream.
You want to hide something important? Do it on a variant dungeon stream.
Next. Kyle says, who's the PvP guy? Made me realize that outside of Soken and prior to the Endwalker patches Ishikawa, we basically know nothing about the dev team or how many even work on stuff like PvP. It somehow feels like it's a skeleton crew, despite the fact online sources claim CBU3 has 300 people working on Final Fantasy XIV. So my question then is, what are they doing? Because it sure doesn't feel like that many people.
I have no sense of what a normal dev team size is. 300 seems modest for an MMO of 14 size, but I'm basing that just on gut feeling. I don't know how many people are working on World of Warcraft. I would imagine more. It has a larger player base and updates with more frequency. So that makes me feel like there's probably more than 300 people.
Yeah, how many does Guild Wars have, or even a Warframe? Like, what's our live service game population roundup?
Based on past interviews and books and all kinds of things, it's saying here that the WoW team size is unknown, that they were between 40 to 80 when they made the initial game, and that they've been between 100 and 300 since. So never mind. If that 300-person team is an accurate count, then okay. I can kind of see what this person is saying, but it's eliciting feelings of exhaustion in me, because this is the year of Expedition 33, where there's actually people who believe only 33 people made that game, and that is just such a hilariously incorrect factoid being bounced around.
The truth to respond to this commenter is that it takes an individual who's willing to be a public figure, and there's no requirement on them. Any dev that you know of is somebody who stepped up themselves, volunteered for a company, volunteered to do interviews, or went to Twitter and started talking about game development publicly. You get very lucky. Sometimes you get a Ben Brode, who is just personable and willing to push themselves out there, like what Ben Bro did for Hearthstone.
And is also pretty good about talking about the development process. You can also be personable, but also not particularly great at translating an extremely technical experience like developing a video game into terms that can be understood by the greater public.
You also can sometimes lose that lottery and end up with a Pitchford who thinks they're great at talking, but aren't.
I don't think he cares. I think he just likes talking.
Yeah, I think they just like talking, and then they're in a position to make themselves talk and allow themselves to be heard.
And I'm in a position to hit the mute button.
Not to move on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. To me, I don't know. I still have a pretty bad attitude about PvP overall. Like, I at a base level, there's all sorts of things that irk me about it. Like, it's where not being able to queue across servers like really rears its ugly head, and like that to me is like just a fundamental mishandling of a game mode in a game like this. Like, I think players should expect better and ask for better. So I don't. If I worked on PvP in 14, I wouldn't want someone like me to be able to talk to you. I wouldn't want to hear from someone like me if I was working on PvP in 14.
You're already working a job. The people we interviewed in past when we worked alongside Blizzard were people who stayed after work to be on our show. They volunteered. That was extremely rare. It was in the middle of their workday.
It was very rare. And sometimes we had to talk them through how VoIP worked.
Yeah, how to set up their microphones in the first place. That was a thing.
Those were the days. I do miss dev interviews. They're
fun.
Bit of a language barrier. Also, Square is so locked down compared to Blizzard. What are you afraid of, Square? Huh? What are you afraid of? The extremely aggressive tone that I'm asking this question in? Probably. Next. So basically, what you are saying is a large percentage of the community will leave, which means the remaining players can get houses. Sounds pretty good to me. Niggle.
You know what? An opportunist. Go for it. Get your house.
I kind of love this person. This is the most unique take I have seen come out of 14 negativity.
At least if they're all leaving, I can get my large.
This feels like millennials just rooting for boomers to move or
Come
die.
on, housing crash. Woo!
Let's go.
All
Wait,
right.
no, I'm in a house.
I'm not. Let's go.
It can crash for a year. It's fine. I'm in a house.
It's about the long term, you know? Just a little crash right now.
Just a little crash. Get my buddy in. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. End of Dawntrail sucks. We all get houses. Bam, new expansion.
Oh, wait, no, I'm talking about the actual house, real life housing.
Both can happen, you know? Let's make the next patch really suck so we all get houses, and then it can be great again.
We're all millennials in the virtual boomer oligarchy of life.
That is Final Fantasy 14, you know? Give up your houses. Unsub.
Just let them go. What do you need all that money for?
Stop building museums.
Wait.
I need somewhere to live.
Wait, no, I like museums. Stop buying homes to make them into Airbnb. I don't think museums are the problem.
No, you're talking about real homes again. I'm talking about game homes.
Oh.
When people buy a second home and turn it into a museum for all their crap.
Except for the aquarium we went to.
The aquarium was pretty, and that was open to the public, and private museums are the real issue here. And Airbnbs, but those don't happen in game.
No.
As far as I'm aware.
I mean, I guess you could just go squat in someone's home.
You want to rent our FC house for your ERP?
It's 1 million gil a day. Oh, wait, ERP? No, 10 million.
I mean, the biggest wrap up is just that people thought the story wasn't great. And they've gone to other games for story. Things like the Star Rails and all the gacha games that are facilitating cool cutscenes and stories. Not Horse Girls Racing.
I saw some of that very recently. I legit, not as a joke. I think it looks kind of cool.
They are doing some very cool stuff. High effort animation.
I kind of want to play the Horse Girl game.
You could. Final Fantasy 14 isn't the only MMO like on the block with a great story anymore. There's a lot of ongoing games that are working like graphic novels, and for those who played this game as a graphic novel, essentially, they've checked out with Dawntrail. And that environment, wanting to live in that world once that story is complete, kept them engaged.
Most of these Palpatine Yoshi P comment notwithstanding, there's some reasonable pieces to every single one of these comments. Like, I get it. None of it really surprises me. Everyone likes to call Burnout or Honeymoon phase. Like, there are a lot of comments like this, many that we skipped because there wasn't much to say other than we were getting called Burnout or we were getting called Honeymoon phase. As someone who puts my thoughts out there, I see that as a mark of a balanced video because people disagree on whether we're Burnout or Honeymoon phase. If there's anything we're truly burnout on, it's being MMO players. Nothing here surprised me. We're in the lull between 7.2 and 7.3. There couldn't be less to do right now. And if you're a raider, which the most engaged players since the end of 7.0 have probably been, you don't have a lot to look forward to in 7.3. And that is probably causing a little extra abrasion. So I don't know. I don't think it makes for entertaining YouTube clicks to have a meter take, but I think it's going to be fine. We're in a lull. We'll see how the next expansion goes. Even if it doesn't completely set the world on fire, there'll be people that enjoy it. Player base will bounce back before it, and it'll peter off again as we head into patches. And that's going to happen every single time. I think Shadowbringers was the exception, not the rule.
And while I do look forward to something like the 8.0 combat update, I expect it's not going to be the bombastic world-changing thing that some are hoping. If you don't currently like the combat in this game, chances are the window might change. Maybe we'll get characters or jobs outside of the window, but it's very unlikely because you are fighting the boss's game. And this is still a game that practices evergreen content. They can't make the combat so drastically different that everything else would be null and void. And if I were designing a game, boy, would I want math on my side. I do not blame them for that.
And I don't blame most of these comments.
No.
Especially the one that called us beautiful.
I think all of you have more hope than you think. Hey.
You doing all right? Oh, come on. Oh, you should have held it. Oh, you should have went with it. Oh, that's perfect.
We can still use that part.